This is going to be a fun video because we are discussing Shedeur. I personally believe that Shedeur Sanders to the Saints is starting to gain some serious traction, and I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to explain all of my thoughts in great detail in this video. But really quick, I got to tell you, we are so dang close to 43,000 subscribers. I can almost taste it. We need 205 more people to hit the sub button to join our golden gang. So if you haven't already, subscribe to Saints Now by Chat Sports for free Saints content every single day by Saints fans for Saints fans. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I am your host, Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. No matter where you are or how you're watching, we always appreciate the Who Dat Nation for taking some time out of the day to hang out with us. So I discussed it already. Shedeur to New Orleans. Shedeur. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, this whole thing is starting to gain some traction, in my opinion, because of some big-time news that happened yesterday. The New York Football Giants, they decided, we're done waiting for Aaron Rodgers. We don't want another quarterback. We're bringing in Russell Wilson. Yeah, they're signing Russell Wilson. So, Marshall Green, I know you're out there. I'm really sorry about that, buddy. I know you wanted Aaron Rodgers, but unfortunately, you now are dealing with Russell Wilson. So, one thing that's worth noting with all of this, and one of the big takeaways and why I think that this is gaining serious traction, that's one less QB needy team. And that's one less team that picks ahead of the New Orleans Saints that might need a quarterback. Originally, the three teams that I was thinking to keep an eye out for, it was the Titans, the Browns, and the Giants, the number 1, 2, and 3 overall picks. Now, we're in a situation where the Giants don't have an immediate need at quarterback, and they don't need to address the quarterback position right away in round 1. So maybe they opt to go and add a Travis Hunter. Maybe they opt to add Abdul Carter or another player in order to fill the roster out and add add talent and increase the overall skill level of the roster. And one thing that's also worth noting, the Browns and Titans are teams to watch because those two teams could still obviously take Cam Ward at 1 and Shedeur Sanders at 2. But if that's not how things work out and say Cam Ward goes 1 and the Browns are like, we really like Travis Hunter, we really like Abdul Carter, maybe they go that route. But there's also another thing that could possibly happen. It's teams trading up. Right now, as it stands, all 32 teams hold their own first-round pick, and we haven't seen any trades thus far in the first round, which is really shocking. It's the closest we've been to the draft in the modern draft era, or at least in a long, long time, that we haven't had any trades in the first round. So we could see a team on draft day, or hell, even in a few weeks, say, you know what? We want to move up to number 2, number 3. We know the Titans aren't going to get out of 1, but we really want Shedeur Sanders, so we're going to trade up. So that's one thing to also pay attention to. One, the fact that the Browns and the Titans could still go quarterback in those first 2 picks. The other option is possibly teams trading up to go and select Shedeur Sanders or another high-level player that, could result in Shedeur falling even more. So let's just ask this question because I do think it's a fair one to ask. If Shedeur Sanders falls to number 9, would you draft him? I'm not saying would you trade up and go get him. That's not at all what I would do because I'm not in the camp of trade up to go get Shedeur Sanders. But I am in the camp of if he falls, I'm willing to have a conversation about it. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders. We're going to have that conversation. Should the Saints do it? Does it make any sense? Is this a good fit, or should they just wait another year? I'm going to answer all of those questions here in a moment. But really fast, if you're ready to optimize your nutrition this year, I gotta encourage you to check out Factor Meals. They're delicious, they're nutritious, they're ready to eat in just a few minutes, and they're chef-made, gourmet meals that make eating well easy. I'm a guy who's trying to have a healthier gut, be a little bit healthier in terms of what I eat, and not only does it help with the portion control, it also helps with the quality of the ingredients. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Get started at factormeals.com/SaintsChat50off and use code SaintsChat50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. The information is at the bottom of your screen. It's also located in the comments and description for easy navigation to the website. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active and busy lifestyle with 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. It's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor is the best way to reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that just, quite frankly, can't be beat. And I'm somebody who's always on the move. I'm also a very busy guy, and I can tell you, rather than driving through a McDonald's or going getting some fast food or paying for another crappy meal, I always opt to go with my Factor meals. That Louisiana shrimp you see on your screen right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is second to none. I'm telling you, it's coming straight out of the bayou. I love Factor. It's so tasty. You pop one in the microwave, in just a few minutes, you have a delicious chef-prepared meal that's also nutritious, ready in just a few minutes. So use the link in the comment section and description of this video, factormeals.com/SaintsChat50 off, and use code SaintsChat50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. All that information is in the comments and description of this video. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring today's show and for returning back to Saints Now. We really appreciate you, and my stomach is very happy. So let's have this conversation. Draft Shedeur Sanders at number 9 overall. Would you do it? Would you not? I'm kind of in the camp of I'm not totally sure, because obviously Shedeur Sanders is a player that's very, very talented, and he is a player that has a lot of name value, and there is a lot of hype around his name. And, I will tell you this, he's not a quarterback that's going to beat you with his legs, but he is a quarterback who has mobility as a skill. He's not a running quarterback. He's not a dual threat guy, but he is mobile, and I think that's something that's really beneficial in a Kellen Moore offense. And, one of the big things about him was how tough he was and how strong he was and how accurate his passer is and stuff. And the fact that he took so many sacks over last year and the fact that over the past 2 years and the fact that his offensive line was so bad gives me a little bit of faith that Kellen Moore could work with Shedeur Sanders, considering the Saints offensive line. It's not terrible. It's a lot worse than, or people make it out to be a lot worse than it really is, but it's not great. It's not an amazing offensive line by any means, so maybe Shedeur Sanders and Kellen Moore, that duo could be really, really exciting, and that's one that the Saints fan base can easily buy into over the course of the next handful of seasons, especially because of the toughness, the swagger, the moxie, the way that this guy conducts himself and the way he holds himself. You just know that he is a player that if you have him on your roster, you're going to love him. If he's not on your roster, you're going to absolutely hate him. He's a playmaker. He's a very skillful player, and he comes from a good lineage of football in the Sanders family. And on top of that, I think that he's a player that could add a spark to the offense, and he's something completely different than what we've seen with the New Orleans Saints offenses over the past, 20 years? I mean, we eventually got out of the Aaron Brooks world, and we eventually got to, after some time, move on to the Drew Brees lifestyle and the Sean Payton regime, and that was really, really fun. And then ever since that ended, it's been trying to just reach back and get back to that moment. And, a big spark offensively, I think, could really, really do that for the Saints. And on top of that, he's a young quarterback. If you have a young quarterback on a rookie contract, you're able to build around him. But what makes me a little bit nervous is, a few years down the road, what's going to happen? One, right now, immediately, the Saints have bigger needs. But two, a point I don't even have here that I'm going to make real quick. What happens if the Saints end up needing to pay Shedeur Sanders later on, and he's just a guy who's like, I want all the money in the world, and Saints don't have it, so I'm out. That's just something to also kind of think about here. But I do believe right now, immediately, the Saints have bigger needs. I think wide receiver, I think cornerback, I think both sides of the ball in the trenches are bigger needs than the quarterback position. You have Derek Carr, you have Spencer Rattler, you have Jake Haener, and although you may not love it, you do not have an immediate need at quarterback, and I'm in the camp, and I personally would prefer to use the number 9 overall selection to add a playmaker to the roster that can benefit the team now, not benefit the team, week 8 or 9 or, later on in the season or later down the road in a couple of seasons. They're also operating to win now. That's how this team has been operating entirely throughout the trades that they've made, throughout the free agency that they've had so far. They are not moving on from Derek Carr. They are not blowing things up. They're not trading away their assets. They are operating to continue to compete in the NFC South. So that's why you also make some sense to pass on Shedeur. Go and get a Ted McMillan, a Tyler Warren, a Mason Graham, Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron. Go get one of those guys who can come in day one and make an impact. And, I also will say this, Kellen Moore, he needs his guy. He deserves the opportunity to get his guy. And I will tell you, if Shedeur is Kellen Moore's guy, Mickey Loomis is not going to pass that up. And every coach deserves the opportunity to bring in their quarterback, bring in the player that they want to work with. And, have that guy run the offense and run that side of the ball. And so the big question here is Shedeur Sanders Kellen Moore's guy? We've heard Shedeur Sanders. We've heard Cam Ward. We've heard Jackson Dart. There's been the Jalen Milroe discussion. There's been the Derek Carr chatter. There's Spencer Rattler. I mean, every quarterback possibility, we have to ask this question. Is he Kellen Moore's guy? Because if the answer is yes, expect that guy to be brought to New Orleans. And if the answer is yes for Shedeur, the number 9 overall selection, I'm telling you right now, will be Shedeur Sanders. However, if it's not Shedeur and that's not his guy, then they're going to probably pass on this pick at number 9 overall. And, maybe if he's there in round 2, that's a conversation that we can have. But I think that the Saints right now are operating more to win now, not build for the future, but also being conscious about the future. So we'll have to see what happens. I think it's a totally crazy conversation because at one point in time, we were talking about Shedeur being one of the best prospects in the draft, and now we're seeing mock drafts where he's fallen to like the 20s. It's in round 2. It's absolutely insane. So I just want to ask you this question to finish off today's video. Which team will end up drafting Shedeur Sanders? Get down in the comment section, share your thoughts, and let me know. Will it be the Saints? Will it be the Browns? Will it be the Giants? Will it be somebody else? I want you to let me know what you think. Who Dat Nation, I appreciate you guys for tuning in to today's video. We're going live a little bit later today around 4 p.m. Central Time. So be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you don't miss out on any awesome content. Y'all stay golden. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you at our live show.